Alright, welcome back to another E7 video. Today we gotta go talk about Salome. Alright, so there's the community is a little bit split on how good they think this character is good, or a lot of people have been saying, well, she's just only a cleave unit or whatnot. So let's just get into her kit, and then I'll just give my thoughts on how I view her, because I think she's kind of being undervalued a little bit. Without further ado, let's get into Salome review.
The time of salvation has come. Seal your soul and await the night.
Taking a look at her stats, she is a Dark Warrior Aries. Alright. She has not that high attack. She's okay attack, I guess. I guess it's high when you consider that she's an HP scaler. So I guess for an HP scaler, maybe that's decent. But low attack, regardless. Decent defense, decent HP, and decent speed as well. She's a little bit slower than what I was expecting her to be. I was expecting her to be around like the 120 range, since she doesn't really rely too much on her own stats. But I guess it's not too slow, right? She can still be decently fast. Attack for the team, HP for herself. Taking a look at this skill 2 here, it is an active skill. Salvation. Okay, releases divinity, granting skill nullifier 1 to the caster and cloning a target hero except for the caster for 1 turn and grants an extra turn. Okay. Clone. Clones the target's appearance and abilities, which is kind of strange because in the live stream and because I already watched this before, but in the previews as well, they don't show her using any other skills than the skill 3. And in the live stream where they revealed her, they said she would be able to use their skill 3. But when she transformed, the other skills are there. Maybe it's just there for show and you can't actually click on them. But it would be interesting if she can, but they don't show us that. But now it doesn't say skill 3, it says copies their abilities, right? Okay, while in the clone state, separate skill cooldowns are applied. And when dispelled, unique effects granted to caster by the clone skill are also dispelled. So she cannot copy Notos and gain his stats. Not gain his stats, but gain the God of Battle, like double all stats for 3 turns. She will not get that for 3 turns. It doesn't say that she cannot copy those effects, but she will transform back into herself and just lose it anyway, so she can't even take advantage of it, right? Skill nullifier on the skill makes it so that if she copies a DPS unit, a squishy DPS, things like a green Celine or a Politis can't just nuke into her, so she has a little bit of protection there. But it's pretty good. This skill also, I want to go into a little more conversation about this skill, because this is where they're saying, well, she's a turn 1 unit and you have no use for her as turn 2. But I think this character, so you probably should skip her, right? That's the notion if you don't cleave. But this is a character that, guys, the more things come out in this game that she can copy, it's almost like she's getting buffed every time something else gets power creeped, right? In a way. And it's also a very scary character to buff, because if they ever in the future decide to say, well, okay, the community is complaining, let's give her an EE, it can be very devastating for a character like this to get buffed, right? Because again, anything else in the future that comes out that's a problem, she's going to be able to become that problem as well, right? So I think she has a lot of future value. And then in any meta, let's say cleave is not favored, she can copy anything. She can copy a reviver, she can copy a debuffer. Although yes, I understand people say, well, why would I want to copy my debuffer? I'll just use my debuff unit. But you can use it to save skills, right? Like say you want to save a strip. See, no, I mean I use like cigarette for example. She's on Goblet of Oath most of the time, so she will cycle her S3 on her own. But let's say there's a unit that you want to save the strip for, or you want to save a steal for, or you want to bait out a cleanse, right? You copy that debuffer, or you use that debuffer, bait out the cleanse from the enemy team or something like that, or you know, bait out the cleanse, the revive, whatever you want to do, and then just copy that unit, go back into them as well, and seal them for a second time, strip all their buffs for a second time. You can do a lot of stuff with this unit. I see a lot of potential in her. Maybe if I'm wrong, it is what it is, but I rather be optimistic about the unit, right? Finally, the last thing I want to say about her skill too is like when it comes to B-Dom, right? B-Dom is like considered like a giga hard counter to her, which yeah, it is true, right? But there could be ways around B-Dom, like for example, her skill one, that is her skill one ability, which we will talk about, or you can actually copy. This is I'm giving you a perfect world scenario, right? Where they do not have immunity stacked on their team. If they do have immunity stacked on their team, then it's going to be more difficult. But if they don't, in the chance that they don't, which I mean, most likely they will, but in the chance that they don't, you can copy a unit, for example, like, although, yeah, these are all like aggro cleave examples, right? You can copy a unit like Taco, like, Kali, right? The new Kali. Beat 'em a proc, right? Then again, I'm just going in with the notion that she doesn't have immunity, right, on their team, or maybe not her, maybe she has immunity, but the rest of her team doesn't, or something like that, right? What will happen is the skill effect null will try to stop like Kali's S3's strip because she has a 2 buff strip, right? It will try to stop the strip, which it will go away, and then the bomb and the frostbite will go through. And if they're not wearing immunity, well, you can just control them very easily. If they are wearing immunity, then you're screwed, right? But if they aren't, they just get controlled, and then your actual call, you can go and follow up on that target that's already lowered. It's a perfect world scenario that I'm giving you, but things like Biblis and stuff is making that a little bit hard. And speaking of Biblis as well, a lot of people are saying that she's just weak to cleave and all of that. If you ever pick her as a turn 2 unit, but this is a HP scaling unit. She's pretty tanky, and there's a lot of ways you can try to keep her alive, especially with things like Biblis. You got your Ilana for if they're going like pen units. You got a lot of things that you can deal with. You got your Elena's for your Briar cleaves. You got evasion. You got evasion units to kind of rely on to try and help you stay alive. There's a lot of things that you can do, you know, to make sure you try to keep her alive as much as possible. So yeah, I think it's not as simple as that, right? But yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say about the skill 2 here. Also, it is a 4-turn cooldown, but she does take an extra turn, so it is technically 3 turns. And if she copies a unit that takes an extra turn, it goes down to a 2-turn cooldown, right? And I will show you that with the example that they gave us with the strays.
While in the clone state, separate skill cooldowns are applied. When dispelled, unique effects granted to the caster by the clone skill are also dispelled.
Okay, so as you can see right here, she copied. Let me see if I can. Let me zoom out. Actually, let me zoom out here because you can see this better. Yeah, so she copied the strays. She also copied. Oh yeah, this is interesting as well about the skill too. She copies artifacts, which leads me to believe that she can copy also exclusive equipments, right? So things like, for example, like Ruel, right? Like she can put invincibility on 2 units, and then Ruel can put her invincibility on another 2 units, right? For example, so you can have a team wide, you know what I mean. So she copies artifacts, and I'm gonna just assume she can copy EAs. If she can't, I mean it's still fine, but she copied the strays, but even though she turned back into herself, she copied the she still has the strays buff on, and if you look at her skill 2, that says 2 turns, right? So if she can copy a unit that has an extra turn, it's very advantageous for her, right? Now we don't know if she can use the skill 2s of unit. They didn't show us that. They said that she can use their skill 3s, but when she transforms, you can see that she will have all their skills available. So if she can use them, it will be actually interesting. They didn't do too much of a good job with the showcase showing off, and I think the showcase should have been a bit longer, but it is what it is. Okay, skill 3, Nitrosil Judgment. Okay. After inflicting collapse on the enemy for 2 turns, attacks with the power of Nitrosil with a 75 to 100% chance to inflict decreased defense for 2 turns and deals additional damage to the target. Damage dealt and additional damage is increased proportional to the caster's max health. And but this skill, the only thing holding it back is that it does not strip. It has an ignore ER soul burn, yes, but it does not strip, which makes it very similar to Genesis Raz's skill 2, right? I wonder, dude, if she's able to use Genesis Raz's skill 2, because we saw when she transformed, it looks like she has all their skills, but I don't know if she can use them. But if she can, that'll be very interesting, because this thing would have been interesting if it was maybe a seal instead of the collapse. But I know why the collapse exists. It's there to and this is like for on her own. I don't think she's gonna be too much of a problem for turn 2 people on her own. It depends on what she copies, right? Because it's supposed to be there. The collapse is supposedly there so she can half your HP and then hopefully one shot you with the additional damage, right? But then if you're tanky enough, then it just doesn't matter because the skill itself doesn't do that much raw damage, He's relying very heavily on the fixed damage. I don't know what her crit multipliers are. If they're good, then maybe some people will figure something out with a crit build. And finally, coming around to the skill 1 here, which is pretty nice actually. Attacks the enemy with a spear, triggers a dual attack from the ally with the highest attack. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's max health. So yeah, a dual attack with the highest attack ally with no condition. I know Biblis has that as well, but Biblis needs to soul burn, but Biblis also has a defense break strapped onto that skill 1, so I guess she needs to be held back just a little bit, but that character is so crazy. But I don't know if she's gonna perform with Biblis around, but all characters will eventually go out the meta eventually, but the more, like I said, the more things that come out that are strong, she can copy. She can take it away. I can even see like a possibility where everybody just if there's something that comes out and it's so oppressive, I can see everybody just foregoing any kind of bulk on her, just give her as much speed as they can and just try to copy that unit and just wreak havoc, right? I can see that being a possibility somewhere in the future. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the kit. There's one more thing that we have to go over, and I'll just skip to that part in the showcase. Okay, so this right here, a lot of people have been talking about this here. This is interesting. So, apparently, she can copy bystander Hua Young. So, I guess a common thing that people are going to be doing is just making their bystander horn with as much damage as possible. Have Salome be fast and use that bystander technically to just nuke a unit off the field, right? Because if she's max damage and she can just soul burn, if she can get a soul burn, then so you can put her on Arya's artifact. You can put her on not Arya's artifact, blue Fire Crow's artifact. You can put it on, and you can get a soul from that. Get the soul burn easily and just nuke into something, right? But let's look at this right here.
What is your name?
Ah, right. It's time for Tora to eat.
Okay, right here. So as you saw, she turned into bystander, but if you notice, she has the skill null left from her skill 2 on bystander, and as you can see, bystander's passive is there down there, right? And you can see she can highlight the S1 actually. So I'm wondering if she can copy other skills from other units, because she does have that S1 highlighted, you know. She does have that S1 highlighted, but she goes for the S3. And she do see the passive there as well. Bystander's passive says immune, let's say immune, yeah, or whatever, immune to buffs and debuffs, right? But if you gain it, it kind of works like the only way I can explain it is kind of like a seal, right? Imagine a character can't do something, like imagine a Briar, right? If a Briar gets sealed or a Hecate gets sealed, you can revive. But the minute they get cleansed, then you can't revive anymore. That's the closest I can try to explain it to you. She gains the buff in Salome's form, in her actual form. That's where she gains the, and then she transform. Ouyang's passive is not going to remove that, right? It's not going to remove that. Like similar to Hecate actually. If you I'm pretty, like, we would have to try that, and maybe if I can put in a clip of it, I will, but I probably won't because it's pretty late right now. But if you seal the Salome, and let's say then you proc the DN, you proc a DN or something like that, and after the DN gets her immortality up, right? After the DN gets her immortality up, then you cleanse the DN. It's not, you cleanse the Hecate. It's not gonna, it shouldn't remove the immortality of the DN when the seal is back. But I guess I'll have to try that and see. But yeah, that's technically what's going on here. So if you want to have like a attack buff or anything, you'll need an attack buffer. Maybe sometime in the future, Ahmed comes back and then you can like Ahmed into the, push up the Salome, and she can copy like a bystander. She can, well, having bystander with Ahmed wouldn't be, that optimal because you can't give her the skill null. But for example, let's say a strays instead, right? You can go like a really just giga nuke strays. You can put them in the front, give Ahmed the proof of friendship, the young senior artifact, right? And then push up the strays that way. You can push up the strays that way. He gets his own CR push, and then Salome copies him, nukes the team, and then he goes after Salome goes S3, and then her S3, and then he can do his S3, right? Very, very, a very fun character. You know what I mean? So I will be pulling for her anyway. I'm not a cleaver, but I will be pulling for her because I do believe in her future capabilities, right? But yeah, I think that is pretty much it. So I'll see you guys in the next one.